Hey guys, today is Wednesday, November 25th. The time is 4:41 p.m. and the temperature right now is around 7 degrees Celsius. I'm currently walking east along Danforth Avenue, and that over there is the former Allenby Theatre. That operated from 1935 to 2006. It was later known as the Roxy Theatre, but it is currently home to a Circle K and Tim Hortons. And the plan for this walk is to head east through Danforth Village, which is also known as East Danforth. And I'll head over to Victoria Park Avenue, which is where the former borough of Scarborough begins. And I'll head up to Victoria Park Station. This entire walk should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 kilometers or so. And it's worth noting that it's just started to rain lately. I do have my umbrella with me in case it starts to rain a bit heavier. But for the meantime, I'll leave my new camera exposed to the elements and hope for the best. That was the intersection of Greenwood Avenue and Danforth I started off at. And just to the west of there is the neighborhood of Greektown. I'll certainly head through Greektown probably on a Friday or Saturday evening in the near future and record a few walks. And this street here is Linsmore Crescent. And this is where you'll find Greenwood subway station. Logically, you might think it was over at Greenwood Avenue, but the entrance is actually a few blocks to the east of there, here on Linsmore, and that is part of Line 2 of the TTC subway system. There's a guy with a rather noisy remote control car. This is the third day of what the province has deemed to be the lockdown phase of the City of Toronto, although the term lockdown is quite disingenuous, as this isn't really a proper lockdown. To me personally, it seems to be more of a targeted attack against small businesses here in the city, as they are the ones that are suffering the most from this. Well, them and, of course, the virus victims. But non-essential businesses are not allowed to have customers inside for anything but pickup. Restaurants can only operate on a takeout basis. So all these sidewalk patios these restaurants have invested in are now useless. This is something that I've highlighted over my last few walks. This retailer's offering curbside pickup. That's really their only option, along with online sales. Danforth Village is located between Greenwood Avenue and Victoria Park Avenue to the east of here. Although what's interesting is if you hop into Google Maps and type Danforth Village, it'll highlight a much smaller area than that. Usually Google Maps is on the money in terms of defining the neighborhood areas in Toronto, but I'm not sure why it's drastically different from where the other resources I found online outline the neighborhood boundaries here, but that is what it is. Hopefully the screen doesn't get obscured by any of these raindrops. It just seems to be raining a bit too late to pull out the umbrella. I imagine if we don't move out of this lockdown phase in the next month or so, this street will look more like a retail graveyard than what we see, although it kind of looks like that right now. Bomb Fitness, how are they allowed to be open? Here's another fitness center. I was under the impression that they were not allowed to open as part of the lockdown restrictions.
Text Simone and tell her to.
There's certainly a lot of vacant storefronts along this stretch of Danforth. And there is Danforth Bowl, a small 5-pin bowling alley. I certainly wouldn't expect them to be open. 5-pin is a Canadian variation of bowling, if anyone's wondering what that is. And this here is Coxwell Avenue. So there should be a span of 5 subway stations along this walk. Coxwell Station should be just up ahead. All of the stations on line 2 are located just to the north of Danforth Avenue. And it is starting to rain a bit heavier, so maybe I'll just pull off to the side here and pull out my umbrella, just for the sake of protecting the camera. And there's an old TTC car house on the other side of the street. Originally, I think dating back to the late 1800s, there were streetcars along Danforth, and then when the subway opened in 1966, they were discontinued. And this car house used to service and store streetcars, and that later was converted to buses. And right now, I don't think there is really any use of that facility. I'm just gonna pull out my umbrella right now. I can see some drops getting on the screen of my camera. There we go, mission accomplished. There's a look to the west. We'll just all right, hopefully I don't look too silly with an umbrella in what seems to be rather light rain, but I'd really rather not buy a new DJI Pocket 2 so soon after buying this one. And I suspect it was the elements that kind of did in my first Osmo Pocket. That was the original camera I used to record walks with, and it later on in life developed focus issues, although I had used it outside in the snow and rain unprotected for a number of walks, so I ended up buying a second one. And just recently, when the sequel was announced, I pre-ordered that, and that is what I'm using for this walk. This is Whittington Avenue. As I mentioned, the streetcar stations along Danforth are just to the north of Danforth Avenue. And the reason for that, I believe, is they used what is known as the cut and cover method of subway construction, where they dig a large trench into the ground and lay the tracks down and stations and then cover that up, as opposed to using tunnel boring machines. So I would assume it was just more convenient to do that just to the north of Danforth Avenue, and to the west of here along Bloor Street, as this is the Bloor-Danforth subway line. Or rather, that's what the subway line is called. Toronto Yoga Company. I don't understand why that gym could be open, but not a yoga studio. These bike lanes on Danforth were installed earlier this year. And they were installed from where Greektown begins, over at Broadview Avenue. And they go east all the way along to Dawes Road, which is just short of Victoria Park Avenue. I've done a few bike rides along there. And I actually tried to record a bike ride this afternoon, but when I went out to my balcony, I found out my front tire was flat and it wouldn't take any air. I took the wheel off and the front tube was punctured in such a way that I couldn't just patch it, so I have a new tube on the way. As soon as I get that, I'll be out and recording some late fall, early winter bike rides.
You bought the seat. I like to do.
This here is Woodbine Avenue. That would be on the north side. And what are you doing, buddy? I don't know why a car would inch forward like that if it wasn't going. You could clearly see. If you saw yesterday's video, someone dangerously turned right out in front of me as I was crossing the street. As per the Ontario Highway Traffic Act, cars aren't supposed to engage in their turns until pedestrians are completely clear of all crossings. So you definitely have to be on your guard when you're walking around the city. There's a martial arts center that's open. Seems as if the fitness club and that martial arts center were both occupied by kids. I wonder if that's a loophole in the current restrictions. There's a Firkin on the other side of the street. That's a chain of pubs. They're clearly not open for business. And coming up is Woodbine Avenue. So you could go south here down to the Beaches neighborhood and to Woodbine Beach. All right, here's someone else with an umbrella. I don't look that weird. And just to the north of here is the entrance to Woodbine Station. That would be it, just up there. There's a Value Village. All their lights are on. I don't seem to see anyone inside. I can't imagine they would be deemed an essential retailer if stores like Winners and Marshalls aren't. Speaking of which, stores like that can't really offer curbside pickup. Their entire inventory is always rotating, so how can you order something online or go to the door and order something if you have no idea what their stock is? Here's a coffee time. You don't see too many of those around the city. Once upon a time. What is that flashing light? That whole building is blinking. Is it possessed by something? That's certainly a weird sight. There's the onion ring fries factory. I think I was in the middle of saying something before that light show started, and I seem to have forgotten what I was getting on about, but it obviously couldn't have been that important. I couldn't tell you if this is busy or not for a weekday evening in this neighborhood, but I would be willing to wager it's less busy than it would normally be. It is good to see people out doing what they can to support these businesses. There's one barbecue restaurant on the west end in the city. I won't say its name, but they've been defying the public health orders and opening not just for outdoor service, but for indoor service, and I don't think they're requiring masks. And despite being in a clear violation of this, the police didn't shut it down or fine them apparently yesterday. And from what I heard, they were open again today. Well, it seems as if there might be some water on the lens here. Let me give that a wipe. Sorry about that. I don't know how long that was like that for. Well, it seems to still be there. Let me try that again. Hopefully it wasn't like that too long and I just doomed this entire video by not paying attention. There's the new development going up. You don't see too much of that along the eastern part of the Danforth. Apparently there are a lot more condo and loft style developments along the way. And it makes sense to intensify this corridor as it is on a subway line. It certainly feels a lot more like you might expect it to feel much later at night. So the next main intersection should be Main Street and Danforth. And there you'll find Main Station. And you can take the 506 Carlton streetcar west across the city all the way, I think, to the High Park Loop, just off of Howard Park Avenue. For some reason, it's called the 506 Carlton streetcar, even though Carlton only makes up a very small stretch of the entire route. And I can't tell if that's my camera or not, but there appears to be a big smear on the lens. It might just be the lighting. Let me give that another rub. I really can't tell. This is Westlake Avenue I am crossing. Hearing sirens off in the distance, starting to approach. And there definitely appears to be something obscuring the lens. I don't know if I just haven't cleaned it properly or not. But maybe what I'll do is I'll just end this walk here at Main Street at Main Station. And I could throw this up on the Stumbles channel. This is the kind of content that's destined to be on that channel. I can clean off the camera lens and maybe figure out another walk to record. For later on. I really can't tell if the camera lens is fogging up or not. If it hasn't been, I'll certainly feel a little bit dumb. But here is Main Street and Main Station. So I'm just going to turn in here and end this walk. And you can catch this one on the Stumbles channel. I'll come back and record another walk along this stretch for the main channel. You know what? It appears to be all right. I don't know if I was just seeing things or not. But this is Main Station. Maybe I'll just stick to the original goal and continue heading to Victoria Park Station. Or not, it looks quite smeared. I'm just going to call this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this walk from Greenwood Avenue in Danforth all the way to wherever the heck I am. Some alley I never thought I would be at. Maybe it'll tow an unauthorized YouTube walker for being in the area. Thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you on the next one. Sorry about that, eh?